Our first item up is closed meeting. Be it resolved, the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby enters into closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following. Section 2.2-3711, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, social services board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Mott?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Jankowski?
Aye.
6 ayes.
We are in closed session.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Secretary.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Ms. Biggs.
Aye.
Mr. Motts.
Aye.
Ms. Bone.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Ms. Levens. Aye. Chair Guzekowski.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next up is certification of closed meeting. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion conveying the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Secretary?
Ms. Biggs.
Aye.
Mr. Motts. Aye. Ms. Bone.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Ms. Levens.
Aye.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next up is our invocation and pledge, and we will be led by our county administrator.
Let's rise for a moment of silence. Let us pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I was also asked to remind folks, if you don't have a mask and need one this evening, we've got some on the table right back here in the back. Thank you.
Next item is presentations, recognitions, and awards. First up, Virginia Department of Transportation.
Few items, construction and maintenance items to update you on here at the end of the year as we kind of wind down with some of our activities, especially in the last month of the holidays, Thanksgiving, and
If you want to take that off so we can hear you.
a little better.
Yeah.
I'll speak up too. I'll start off with construction because there's aren't as many of them. As I said before, Yellow Sulphur Road has got everything but the hard surface on it. We're trying to get that before the end of the year, weather caught up with them and a few other things. So we will be spraying before they get all that hard surface, but that glass part and grading part does look good. We're gonna have to maintain it, good condition. And sometimes that actually helps out a lot to let it go through the winter and settle a little bit before putting a hard surface on. On Taylor Hollow, the bridge that's closest to 723 Lester's Gate Road was repaired. I don't think the weight limit is off of that yet. We're still waiting for them to finish up that. And as soon as that first bridge is done, we're going to start working on a project that's part of the county's 6-year plan, which is the low water structure, about 3/4 of a mile out. And that's going to be part of the hard surfacing, about a mile of Taylor Hollow Road. But we're going to try to get that low water structure first. Couple other bridge projects that are going on. Around 11 bridges is completed and open. Just repair of one of the bridges that was still the older of the two that were there. And Seneca Hollow, while still closed, is moving along fairly well now that they are out of the creek and out of the water. Concrete beams are set, but the wearing surface still has to be put on, and some grout and some more stabilization of those beams. So they were hoping to get some work done here at the end of last week and over the weekend. That didn't work out, and not promising a whole lot. They're looking at the end of this week, but a lot of it so much depends on the weather and so forth at the end of that. And that one is well behind schedule. The work on 81 at exit 114 is about done. There's probably just still a bit of cleanup that looks pretty good. And 81 bridge over the New River, northbound side moving along fairly nicely. Now they're working on doing a lot of deck pours and hope to have traffic switched probably about 2 months. So those continue to move along fairly well, better than they had before. Some of the maintenance things, kind of routine maintenance, machining gravel roads, hauling stone. There's been a few nice enough days to do some asphalt patchwork. I've been doing some work in Millwood subdivision, correcting a drainage problem that had been a concern of a citizen out there. We were able to get some of the shoulder work done on 460 that had been waiting on, and some work on Allegheny Springs Road. I think it was closed for a lot of the day today, getting that work done. Sorry for the inconvenience, but when a pipe goes across the road, that's what you got to do. So the shoulder on the other side that we did get last week. Just a couple other pipe replacements, pipe installations on Gate Road. Some brush cut, not much. Did some on Fairview Church Road, brush cutting and some ditching on North Fork Road. So that's about all I have for my update. Take any questions. I'll go ahead and update the 114 speed limit. They are working on that. They have the consultant working. One question they had wasn't, I told them that the concern was from Prices Fork Road back towards Christiansburg. Now they're asking about the section the other way. I didn't know if that was a board priority or not, to have them look at that as well, or to just focus on 114 East. Are there any thoughts from the board on that, Ms. Blevins?
Yeah, that's basically where it becomes right after the town limits, where it becomes the faster speed limit with all the subdivisions, people pulling out, and especially farm equipment.
And that's what I thought. It was from Prices Fork Road back towards town, but now they are bringing up our traffic engineers are looking, saying, well, what about the other section? It's only a mile to the arsenal, and I didn't know if that was a priority. I can have them look at that. I don't know if it'll affect anything else about it. There's no strong feeling one way or the other. I can have them look at that too.
With that too. Most of my complaints were in that
Right.
that area right there.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Do you have anything else? Any
No,
other questions?
That's it. Thank you so much. Appreciate you working on that. I do know it takes time.
Supervisor King?
No.
Supervisor Demots?
Just one question in full disclosure. My boss actually has asked me this question a few different times. At my other job, I happen to work at Taylor Hollow Construction. He owns property on Taylor Hollow Road. Are there plans to connect that? Like to connect it over to North Fork?
No.
I didn't think so.
You look at some really old maps, it did go across there and came out somewhere near Bradshaw.
And the reason being, I think we've done some work there, and so when people see work being done, they think something
Right.
very large is coming. And so I appreciate the answer to that question.
And really, the part that will get hard surfaced is only about half the road.
Mhm.
Because it's pretty far, and there are people who live all the way at the end, so it's gonna, even just doing that first half is gonna help. And maybe we'll get to the other part at another time.
Thank you.
I saw the bridge. It's beautiful. Thank you. I'm so excited that you're considering paving it for a mile, because I know that'll help a lot of those where it's straight. There's no shoulder and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it'll be widened a little bit, better drainage. Hard part's gonna figure out what to do in the big curve.
What are you doing for bypass? You said that you were talking to the
I
landowners.
don't think we're gonna need, well, for the road can be built under, I think all of it can be built under traffic without, keep a certain width, though, but it's so narrow right now that people are used to driving, it's not gonna be a big deal. Like when work is done for the day, just leaving a certain width of it open.
Interesting. And the stuff at 114 is beautiful too. It's off the charts, great. If you could do some potholes, it's at the end of Woodland Hills Drive, right by the Han Farm driveway. That's the part that you don't want to do in hot weather because the asphalt will melt away because it's so steep if somebody's breaking right there, but
Right. It does tend to show.
if you've got cold weather like we have right now, it's probably perfect to do it.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Supervisor Shepherd.
Just one thing, I've had a couple people follow up questions for that. Want to know if they were gonna strike outside Long Shop Road.
That'd be
I
after,
I had asked probably, I don't know, 8 months or 9 months ago back in spring.
restriping, or is this where paving was
No, just restriking.
just refreshing the current lines?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I know they've cut back on a lot of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was one of the routes cut or not, but Mount Zion and Long Shop, that whole section from there to Brooksfield out to McCoy.
I think they striped Brooksfield and Easter Branch.
I'll find out.
That's all.
Vice Chair Biggs.
No questions, just, happy holiday to you and get ready for the snow, I guess.
Yeah. well,
There's not going to be any snow. I have a few things here. First of all, it's pretty good when that bridge project on 11-460 finished up before you could even give me an estimate
I
on when it
know,
would
when
finish
it-
up. That was fast and it rides good.
Yeah.
Very good ride. Seneca Hollow, I had gotten that email, I think you were copied from
Yes.
Ken King. And don't think they're gonna meet that deadline, but it is still big concern for every citizen I run into that lives up that way. But I'm giving them the same information as to what's happening, and they just would be very glad to see it finished
Yeah, and that's a
before
contract.
December 23rd of 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still high up there, and yeah, good job on the Allegheny Springs Road. That worked out very well today. They were able to get that pipe in the time allotted, and that's very good. I guess they're gonna patch that road probably tomorrow, or
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I can't imagine they would wait too long on that. On Route 460 westbound, right next door to the Dollar General is Moore's Chapel. Did you get a chance to talk to Mr. Booth about issues? Well, he asked me to come out and take a look at it. What they have is a collapsed pipe underneath the westbound side. It goes from the median strip to the ditch line right there at the church entrance. It's in the right of way. And what has happened is there's a hole in the pavement about the size of a basketball. And if you look in the hole, it's eroded back several feet. His worry is that someone's going to run over it and fall in, the vehicle will go down into the hole. It's kind of very similar to what you did at Allegheny Springs. And I think he said that he actually put in the work request 3 years ago. So I think it's one of those things that's probably been pushed back because it is going to be a big job. There was some grading done there, I think, because there wasn't a fall out of the pipe. It was probably built up and the pipe got sediment in it. So, but that's something you may want to consider putting some barrels out there just so that people, because they could get around it if they knew it was there,
Just tell me.
but they just can't see it. So, but he said he was expecting a call from you.
I don't know. Yeah, what's his name?
His name is Booth, Eddie Booth. And I can provide you with his number if you need it.
He's called- If you have it, I'll write it down. If
Yeah, I do.
as a matter of fact, I might be able to look it up through.
You want to give it up?
Yeah, let me just give it to you.
Yeah, he
before
said-
you leave. Or I'll email it to you.
Yeah, just
Yeah, let's just do it that way.
that'd be fine.
Thank you. Also, do you have the paving schedule yet for 22?
Next year, no.
No, when that comes out?
It'll be very shortly, but they're bidding on it right now, so we'll have to see. It gets tweaked a little bit.
I've had some folks in my district that are concerned about paving on 460. Really, I don't know what sections they're talking about. I know right up to where the bridge was replaced is one section, but they mentioned some others. But if you could just shoot me that part of it, the paving schedule that applies to 11460 in the Shawsville Elliston area. I think that'll
Okay,
that'll
yeah, I can
work.
definitely find that. That should be pretty well said.
And last week, I mentioned I was at a fire EMS meeting, commission meeting, and I mentioned that Allegheny Springs was going to be closed on the 13th. And the rescue and fire wasn't aware of that. And they said that normally in the past, VDOT has contacted Neil Turner, and I was just wondering if you guys have the information for our new emergency management.
I would think so. You looking at Tyler, do you get any? I don't get any notifications.
Okay, yeah.
Then maybe you don't.
Yeah, if you could see him before you leave to get that contact information, because I mean, if you're gonna have a road closed and the rescue squad doesn't know about it or fire department, it could cause some issues. So I'm sure that can be fixed. That's all I got. Any follow-up?
That's all I
I had
have.
the most.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
very
Dave.
much. Thank y'all.
Is that something to celebrate, Steve?
Yes, when I have the most.
When you have the most?
Yeah.
I got you.
It is. Of course, I think I have the most quite a bit because of my district has got a lot of gravel roads in it, like Todd's. A few. All right, next up, Virginia Cooperative Extension.
Good evening to everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to take a few minutes and share some of the things we've been doing in extension. It's been a long time since we've been in front of you, and so we just wanted to kind of give you an update of how we're transitioning from the COVID way of life and working with kids in 4-H and our adult audiences and transitioning to more in-person. So
If you're comfortable with taking it
Sure.
down so we can hear you,
Sure,
that's
that's
fine, but either way.
much more comfortable with
Okay.
it all. And we also wanted to take the opportunity, we just hired our new Ag and Natural Resources Extension Agent and wanted to introduce her this evening. So I'm going to be fairly brief with my comments. I do have a written report for everybody that has just a summary of our activities for 2021. I can speak specifically to 4-H, and then my co-workers, Dawn Barnes is our Family and Consumer Science Agent, and she has given you a report about some of the programs she's done in terms of Serve Safe and food preservation types of programs. Our Master Gardener Coordinator, Wendy Silverman, has been doing, has trained another class of Master Gardener volunteers, and some of the projects that they've done is included in here. But I wanted to mention just a few things in 4-H. As we moved into the spring of 2021, and we were still under a lot of limitations and restrictions with COVID and being able to provide programs face-to-face with young people, whether it be community-based or in the schools. But we spent a lot of time trying to develop some virtual types of programs and leading into slowly transitioning to in-person programming. And one of those, as if you've heard me speak before, Junior 4-H Camp is one of the biggest programs we do every year. We usually camp close to 200 kids from Montgomery County and 400 for our camping cluster. And this year we did have 4-H camp in 2021 at 50% capacity. We found out late in the game that we were going forward with it, so it was a challenge being ready for it. But one of the things I'm proud of in getting ready for 4-H camp is that a group of 4-H agents across the state, and I've helped to co-chair this committee, developed training modules for all of our adult and teen volunteers, online training modules, because we didn't have the capability to meet with them in person the way we typically do. So we spend quite a bit of time training all of our volunteer leaders that go to 4-H camp on risk management and behavior management and, organizing their camp classes and all of those kinds of things. And so I just wanted to just kind of just show you just very, very briefly, this is the training module. I personally was involved with the module on healthcare and emergencies, and then the module on the chain of command. So just, we could have Zoom meetings with our teams from home in the evening, and then they could, we could assign a module at a time and then spend time with them talking about and summarizing what they saw in that module. So, this is just an example of one of those modules that one of my subcommittees developed, with, embedded videos. This particular video, we talked about the chain of command as it's applicable to real life career situations. And so this is an example of one of the programs that I was particularly proud of. And going into this year for 4-H camp, we're told as of right now that we're going to be at full capacity this summer. So we're in the process of we've already sent out our camp applications for team leaders, and we developed this year a Google site. Now that's one of the conveniences of not having the typical kinds of work responsibilities. It allows you some time to develop some technology skills that you didn't have otherwise. And so, developing a Google site that has everything related to 4-H camp, their counselor applications and all of their other paperwork, et cetera. So this is something our cluster developed for our group of campers this summer. But just other types of things that we did, and I'm just highlighting some of the virtual things because, it was a big adjustment to try to figure out how you were going to reach audiences and, not have the ability to meet with them face to face. But one of the programs as we do as a team, an extension, is our Junior Hokie Showcase Ag and Natural Resources Literacy Program. And we generally have everybody to come to Alphen Stewart Arena, all of our fourth graders in Pulaski, Giles, Floyd, Montgomery, and Craig counties. This year, we were not able to do that. So all of the agents went in together and put together a website for that where teachers could request the link and had videos of all of those. And I have somewhere up in here, the one that I personally did with forest products in the state of Virginia. And I worked with Tom Hammett doing one.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to our session today on tapping on trees for their sap. And I want to introduce today, this is Tom Hammett. He's with the Department of Sustainable Biomaterials, and he's going to be giving us a very interesting demonstration today of tapping.
Some of the kinds of non-traditional work things that we try to develop to still be relevant to the schools, et cetera. And we're slowly transitioning to programs that we're doing in person. I did a program back last spring. 4-H has a national science experiment every year in STEM, and last year's science experiment was called Mars Base Camp, and they provide all these kits where the kids build their little rovers, and it coincided with our landing on Mars. And so they studied about the topography of Mars and the rover technology and careers that are connected to space exploration and travel. And so we had a virtual program doing that. The kids ordered their own kits and did all the activities, hands-on activities from home. And that we had 24 kids to participate in that program virtually. So, that was a lot of fun. And we this year have started getting back into the schools, working with fifth graders at Falling Branch Elementary School. We just started an aerospace club. I was fortunate enough to get a a grant from the Blacksburg Rotary Club to do a 4-H aerospace program at Eastern Montgomery Elementary. And we haven't had a lot of presence there. And so we were really excited to be able to offer something in that area as well. But I think, our programs are highlighted in some of the flyers of, programs in particular that, we spent a lot of time developing or in this packet. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has about the programs and come back and share more about those as you see fit. So, but one of the main reasons I wanted to come tonight is to introduce our new Ag and Natural Resources Extension Agent. We're very pleased to have Meredith Hoggett with us, and she's gonna tell you a little bit about her background. So we expect great things from her.
Okay if I take? Okay. I'm not usually too soft-spoken, but I'll go without the mask anyways. Like Michelle said, my name is Meredith Hoggett. I am originally from Draper, Virginia, so not too far from here. But I've spent 10 of the last 12 years in Wyoming, where I went and got my bachelor's in science in zoology with a concentration in ecology and insect biology. So I love insects. If you have any insect questions, I actually, after graduating, came back home for a couple of years and was the IPM and compliance coordinator for Red Sun Farms when they started up in Dublin. So you may have seen me in the Bergs at one point. So I helped start their IPM program, their food safety program, as well as doing when they had organics, their organic and non-GMO compliance. So I had some kind of experience with tomatoes and hydroponics. I ended up going back to Wyoming, where I was the greenhouse coordinator for the Williams Conservatory at the University of Wyoming. And it's there that I actually found my passion for outreach. I got to teach students, anyone in the community about plant adaptations, desert plants, even though you're in Wyoming where it's winter about 3/4 of the year. And then I also was the horticulture program coordinator for Campbell County in Wyoming. We just moved back about a year and a half ago, and that was just to be closer to my family and the family farm. So we have a cow-calf operation in Draper. And so I was also the greenhouse supervisor and student coordinator for Red Sun Farms once again. So they took me back for a little while I was waiting for this position to open up. So I found that passion for extension. I love to teach and educate people on plants, animals, insects, cattle, beef. So I am hoping that this first part of my career here in extension to get to know more of the ag producers here in the county and what their real needs are, so that I can kind of better serve them through programming efforts. So I look forward to working for Montgomery County.
Anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer those.
All right, I won't go around the room, but does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
If someone does have cattle questions, that you just send them straight to you.
Yes, you can send them to me. So I'm Ag and Natural Resources. So that can fall with beef, poultry, vegetables, anything ag related. And even if you're not sure, send them to me and I can send them to whoever they need to get in touch with. I try to learn as much as I can so that I can provide them the answers, even if it's not in my specialty. But you can certainly.
And again, what counties do you all cover?
I cover just Montgomery County and Meredith does as well, but the way extension is set up is we have different specialty areas around the district. So we have animal science agents that are in Pulaski and Giles County. Meredith's specialty is horticulture. So we're able to, they work together as a team. If there's an animal science question she can't answer, then she can go to
Morgan, Paulette, and Pulaski County. They're very good at working as a team to help clients in all of those counties.
Others? Meredith, yeah, welcome. Good to have you here. A lot of folks in this county still do farm, and I think sometimes we tend to forget about them and how much we rely on them. So we definitely want to keep them going. We hate to see farms fold up and become suburbs, but sometimes they do, and for various reasons. But thank you for joining the group and helping our county out. Michelle, my kids have taken advantage of 4-H camps when they were younger, and they're all grown up, and I hope they pass that on to their kids too. But,
Oh, and we take adult volunteers as well, so they're welcome to come back and join
Okay.
us.
I'll mention that
Anytime.
and then take a step back.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, I think that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, next up is our public address. For public address, we do ask that you state your name and whether you're a citizen here in the county, and you would get 4 minutes. Anyone, we have one person signed up.
Yeah, Betty Coleman signed up to speak this evening, and since we're still in here, when your 3 minutes is up, I'll give you the 1 minute sign, and when your 4 minutes is up, I'll.
Right, and I just want to thank you all for what you do. Wish you a Merry Christmas. And there's a box back there with some small gifts. And each one they're not all the same, so look for your name on the gift. But we really appreciate you a lot. So we pray that you have a really blessed Christmas. Thank you.
All right, we have no one else signed up, but if you want to come forward, state your name, whether you're a citizen here, and have 4 minutes.
My name is John Ashley, and I'm a citizen of Montgomery County. I'm here to request that Montgomery County pass legislation to enforce parental rights, just like how we became a 2A sanctuary. On December 15th, 2019, then Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, in a truly unprecedented move, threatened to use the National Guard to invade his own state to enforce his new firearms law. Strangely, he never responded to me when I would write him and tell him about the laws being broken in the family court system. Probably because he knew that if he didn't let the family courts tell a class of people that they have no rights, they couldn't charge the optimum amount of child support. Social Security Act, Title IV, states that the federal government will match what the state collects in child support for general use. That's why on the DSS homepage, they show how much they have collected in child support so far in the year. DSS and family court both follow the best interest of the child law, but in violation of the equal application of the law statute of the 14th Amendment, they have different interpretations of the law, which coincidentally both get the state the maximum amount of funding, the best interest of the state law. Visitation is a good example of the different interpretations. With DSS, visitation is mandated by a social worker. If the foster worker refuses to comply, they are removed from the program, regardless of family relationship to the child. My experience with the family court system is after spending money on lawyers, flying here, getting a hotel, renting a car, the police will serve us with a no trespassing order. And even though the court order says that we go to the custodian's house, we're told we'll be arrested if we do. When the police threatened to arrest a repo man with paperwork, if I trespassed him for my property so he couldn't repossess my car, after spending more money to file court papers, fly here, get a hotel, rent a car for this new hearing, the custodians were giving a suspended sentence of a small fine. Every town, county, and state has their own unique set of laws and ordinances. And there have been 3 different self-defense cases in the news recently. One was in Texas and involved child visitation. Chad Reed went to pick up his child for a court-ordered visitation. He was told that the children weren't there and to leave the property. The mother's boyfriend produced a gun, and moments later, Chad Reed was dead. You can read about it. You can Google it. read it in the news, and watch the video of his death. At the bottom of the Virginia abduction law, it says that if the abductor is the custodial guardian of the victim, it is a misdemeanor abduction. Please pass legislation to make any child custodian who refuses court-ordered visitation guilty of misdemeanor abduction. Name it the Chad Reed law, because his life mattered. Dad's lives matter. That story I told you about my visitation, the same judge that ordered the visitation, gave the suspended sentence, later told me in a custody hearing that even though he had ordered the visitation, but because it wasn't honored, I didn't know my son, and he couldn't send a child to live with a stranger. Pass legislation to enforce parental rights.
Thank you. If anybody else would like to come forward, state your name, you're a citizen, and you would have 4 minutes. Seeing no one coming forward, I'm gonna go ahead and close public address. Next item is addendum.
Addendum, sir.
No addendum. Next up is items of consent. Is there a motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Did you get? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, if you call the roll.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next up is new business. Appointment for Public Service Authority. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is to reappoint Supervisor Bone, Supervisor Christiansburg, and Supervisor King to the Public Service Authority as a result of their recent reelection to the board.
All right. That said, is there any more discussion? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item is fire and rescue incentives. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
When we when we first brought this up, we was talking about everybody. And the town of Christiansburg stepped in, done their thing, which is, I'm grateful for that. Blacksburg is in amongst talking about theirs right now. I think this right here will help a lot of volunteers, really. I think, they know we appreciate them. They do. I think this will really help that along.
So what we're proposing is to give a bonus to all of our fire and rescue volunteers, so thank you bonus. What's the amount of that?
It will be $450.
Okay,
And the reason for that is the town of Christiansburg get $500. And
that
if I-
creates a tax problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, if I'm wrong, please speak up, Craig. If we give them $450, if we move to $500, and we always give that $100 gas card thing, and plus a county sticker, that would throw them over to $599.
Got it.
And what, the way we're gonna handle this is we're gonna provide the funds to the agencies, and the agencies are gonna distribute it to their volunteers. There's certainly recommendations on how that should be distributed to the volunteers, but it's say, if the county issues the check, it creates some. If we issue it to the individual volunteers, it creates a couple of issues that are going to be a challenge. So it was discussed with the agencies over the last week, if they're willing to take those funds, and pass them on in the manner that we've agreed.
And I asked that question to you, Todd, just so it was clear what we're doing. I appreciate you bringing it up. Giving us the opportunity to do this.
Appreciate that. And, I hope that all volunteers everywhere understand how much I do appreciate them. I know you do, not only in fire and rescue, but everywhere. And they mean a lot to this county.
Great.
Yes.
And I was just gonna say, because of everything that, they have gone through over the last year and a half, that I think it's well deserved and well recognized that we could do this for them, you know, at this time, so. And then we'll wait to hear what Blacksburg does. Okay.
I would just echo the sentiment that we appreciate all of our volunteers, and it has been a challenging 2 years, and they've answered the calls regardless of the situation. And we do appreciate, and it's a token of our appreciation. I'm glad we were able to do that.
I would agree with all those statements. I think it's well deserved. I'm glad we can do that for everybody.
Did you have comments?
I agree.
That's a good comment. Well, I would add that being on the recruitment and retention committee, that this couldn't come at a better time. And certainly probably the best time of year to do it also. But we're going through, and it's not just us, it's the entire country's going through a time where volunteering is getting tough. And for many reasons, many people have valid reasons why they can't do it. And for the ones that we have in our county that we have depended on so heavily over the years, this is a small token of what we can do for them. And I'm glad that we're able to do it, want to do it. So as we move forward, the committee is looking at other ways that we can give meaningful incentives to our volunteers. Not that it's going to make them want to stay or leave, but that will help them in volunteering so that it'd be a positive benefit to them. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll come up with several ideas that will be acceptable to everyone. Any other comments? Madam Secretary?
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs? Aye. Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item up is a resolution of appreciation to Delegate Chris Hurst.
Well, she forgot Terry.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. At the very bottom of the page, I missed it. Next item is the resolution of appreciation for Terry Smooths.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
She's gonna be missed.
That's for sure.
She did an outstanding job on the community action.
We wish her the best in her
Yeah.
retirement.
Absolutely. Any further comments? Madam Secretary?
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs? Aye. Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Now, resolution of appreciation for Delegate Chris Hurst.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I asked to put this on along with Nick Rush because in the past we've honored our retiring delegates. So that's why it's on here.
Any further comments? Hearing none. Madam Secretary?
Ms. Biggs? Aye. Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Guzekowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item up is a resolution of appreciation for Delegate Nick Rush.
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I saw Nick earlier tonight and he is very happy. I tried to make him feel guilty, but it didn't work.
I'm not sure how many years he's given to the
2011.
10.
so there you go, 10 years there. And then, of course, all of us know him as a former member of the Board of Supervisors right here. So he has definitely served the public. Any other comments? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs? Aye. Chair Guzekowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, next up is reports. Starting with our county attorney. He's been working on something all week.
No, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, and
Next up is our county administrator.
Well, and since I missed the last meeting, I've got a few. I first off want to thank Angie for the great job she did at the last November meeting. I appreciated her stepping in. She did a fabulous job. I was watching from the beach and sending notes furiously as I was watching, but things went very well. Wanted to also share some good news that I sent out earlier today. The governor announced the ADDENDUM grants for broadband in Virginia, and we were one of the major recipients. The total project for the three counties that are involved, Montgomery, Bland, and Pulaski, total project is $135.7 million. Just a huge project. 8,822 potential connections in Montgomery County alone. That number is down a little bit from what we initially submitted. We'll talk about that more in the future and how we can help get all that addressed. But the county's match for this grant will not exceed $6 million. So we are moving that forward. As soon as we get numbers all nailed down, I'll certainly be sharing all that with you. But I think a couple of you may have heard Angie earlier. Brian Hamilton was literally running around the building screaming today and hugging people. Yes. But that was a huge win for Montgomery County. Thank you so much to all of y'all for your support on all that as well.
And our community support. Like all
Absolutely.
the volunteers. There were a lot of those.
A lot of work, and
And the staff.
as Amanda Cox from AEP sent me a note this afternoon, we were congratulating everybody, and she said, now let's get to work. So now let's get to work. Did want to share with you that we broke in the new boardroom last week. We had our swearing in ceremony for the 3 re-elected board members. And even though it's not quite ready for prime time, it was ready enough to make some pictures in there. It went very well. We've got a few remaining AV issues to deal with. And then Vicky and Scott and I need to go in there and put it through its paces and make sure it'll work. But
Grammar corrections to it.
yeah, we got a few things to work on, but if everything goes as planned, which I expect it will, we will have our first meeting in January back where we belong over there. So,
Yay!
I did want to mention that I have been invited to participate in a major economic development announcement on Wednesday at 2:00 at the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. I can't say specifically what that involves, but you may recall a while back that Brett Malone from the CRC came to this group and talked about a big project that they really were looking for us to help support. This board agreed to help support, and stay tuned for some big news on Wednesday. On the sad front, it was saddened to learn that we're going to be losing Emily Gibson, our planning director. Emily has accepted a position with Virginia Tech, and we'll certainly hate to see her leave. Her last day will be January 4th, but we'll spend time between now and then as best we can celebrating Emily's 7 years of service to the county, and then got to get busy recruiting a new planning director. So that's now on the list. Last but not least, our offices will be closed next Thursday and Friday for the Christmas holiday, and then the following Friday for the New Year's holiday. And I'm just going to piggyback on Marty. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everybody. Thank you very much for all you've done this past year. All I got.
All right, now we get to the Board of Supervisors. We will start with Supervisor Bone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Congratulations to the staff about the ADDENDUM grant. That is off the charts. Awesome. And thank you to the community too for that. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, everybody. Be safe.
Supervisor King.
I don't have no report, but I would like to tell each board member here, I appreciate you working with me this past year. And hopefully we can have a wonderful few more years ahead. I want to tell the staff how much I appreciate what they've done for me since I've been on the board in these last 2 years. We've had a rough way to go, but y'all straightened this out, and I do appreciate that. I do want to tell Brad, I appreciate him joining the team. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, just let me know. Merry Christmas.
Supervisor Blevins.
Just wanted to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and was very pleased with the employee luncheon and service of how many dedicated employees we have here. And it's just a testament when you are giving out, 15-year awards, 20-year awards, 30, 35, 36. It's just a testament of their service and how wonderful it is to work for the county and their dedication to our citizens. Also wanted to welcome Brad St. Clair and wish him as he retires from the sheriff's office, him and Chris Lucas this week. Wish them well in their retirement. And of course, sorry, Sheriff, we're taking a good one, but we greatly appreciate the addition. He will be a great asset to continue to represent our citizens.
You all are getting a good one.
Supervisor Demots.
I don't have anything constructive to add, so I'll say a second. Merry Christmas. I look forward to seeing you guys all in the new year.
Supervisor Shepherd.
I'll play the same card and say I'll just follow everybody the same way. And I'll add one thing, everybody be safe and have a Merry Christmas. I know a lot of people are under a lot of stress this time of year. So take a deep breath and keep going.
Amen. Thank you.
Vice Chair Biggs.
Ditto on what everyone said about welcoming Brad and the luncheon and our staff and all of that. I will add a couple other things. I know Craig and Steve have already heard this, but we had a really exciting event at the airport, at the Virginia Tech Montgomery Executive Airport. We had an aviation company come in called Next Gen, and we got all of the sixth graders from Montgomery County through the program. And some of them, with their parents' permission, were even able to fly in airplanes. And they had flight simulators and a big airplane they could look at, a smaller airplane. And then the best part, which I really enjoyed when I went through, was we got to make a little model airplane. I got to use a rivet machine. I never had done that before, so I was like excited about it. But this is a program that I really pushed to get here because it's looking at careers for folks in aviation. And so I'm hoping that, some of the students that went through might grab onto that. The other thing, you all know I've been working on for the Criminal Justice Service Board on the Committee on Training for Law Enforcement Officers. I followed the lead of the law enforcement officers that I talked to here, including Hank, and the ones that are on the board. I represent local government. We finished our work. We had a lot of meetings in November and December, but we finished. So now and the board passed it. So now it goes, I guess, to the governor, and hopefully it all comes. But one of the most important things we did is we put in a category for officer wellness. And, because we're all concerned about our police and our law enforcement folks because of the things that they do and see all the time. And I think that was an important category to add. The other thing I want to ask is the gentleman that keeps coming about the parental rights. I don't think that he might not understand that we can't do anything as a board. And so, Marty, is there a way that we could make a statement about that? I think he needs to go to the General Assembly, right? Because our group can't do anything about it. Is there a way that we could tell him that? He's not here right now.
He left.
Yeah, because
They might see him before we do.
yeah, because I appreciate him coming, but he keeps thinking that we can do something and we can't really do anything about it. So I didn't know if we should make a statement. I know we don't make statements during public address, but I just didn't know if there was a way to handle it so he knew that. So I'll just throw that out there. If anyone thinks of a good way to get that. And then the other thing I wanted to say, Chris Lucas, I was a second grade teacher and he's retiring, and that makes me feel really old. That's all.
That's pretty good. Well, I'm hoping that Vice Chair Biggs, you've been a good supervisor supervisor this year and you've asked Santa for a new rivet gun.
Yeah, there you
Bring it to you.
go.
Heavy.
Get some work out of you. Yeah, I appreciate Sherry bringing up the luncheon. Mary, Sherry and I attended the employees luncheon, and it was very good opportunity to see a lot of our folks in one place. Even though there were so many, we had to do it in shifts, but it was very good time. I think everybody had a good time, and a lot of awards were given out, and certainly a lot of door prizes. That always makes everybody happy. So that was a good time. I want to speak directly to our citizens right now because this fantastic news that we have of broadband is going to get you excited also. And I know everybody on this board has heard from you. And, we had an approval on our first FATI grant, and folks still ask me, where are the trucks? So I know you're all going to be asking that, and I thought I'd give you a rough timeline. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first FATI grant in the 4 areas of the county, Lafayette, Elliston, Shawsville, and Allegheny Springs, should be completed by the end of 22. Then this next FATI grant, which is much larger, will hopefully be finished by the end of 23. So a lot of you folks that are out there in areas that just don't get any service, you may have to just wait a little bit longer, but be assured that it's coming and that it's going to happen. And we're all thrilled about that. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up. Yeah, our amazing staff here. Appreciate Brad coming on. Very sad to see Emily leave. But that's life. It's without change, we wouldn't have life. So there's always changes going on, but I always appreciate the fact that we hire such good people that take care of us and look out for us, because being just part-timers, there's a lot of things we miss. So we certainly appreciate you all looking, watching our backs and checking our sixes, or whatever the new slogan is. And I just also want to wish.
You'll get it.
I'll get it. Wish everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you. And that concludes our meeting. We are adjourned.